Hello and good day, Doctor. We are Group 1 from AIE2011 Politics in Developing Countries. Our group members are Shu Hong, Aerosol, and Yan Lin. In this video, our group will presenting tutorial question 1. Is politics in the developing world so different from elsewhere that understanding it requires another theoretical framework? We have divided the question into 5 parts, with the first part introduction, briefly describing the significance of the topic, the definition of developing countries, and the meaning to understand a developing country. The second part is comparative analysis, developing and developed countries. The third part is challenges and unique aspects of politics in developing countries. Next part, I will show the applicability of existing theoretical frameworks in developing countries. Finally, is a conclusion. Now, I'll pass to my friend.
I want to continue with introduction, overview of the topic and its significance. The study of politics in the developing world does present unique challenges and complexities that often require the use of different theoretical framework. Developing countries exhibit a wide range of cultural, historical, and economic contexts. The one-size-fits-all approach often fails to take into account the diversity in these regions. Theories developed from the experience of developed countries cannot fully explain the dynamics in developing countries. The term developing world usually refers to countries that are economically and socially less developed and face various development challenges. Recognizing the diversity and the unique challenges of this region is critical to developing accurate and effective analysis and policy. How we constitute the developing world? The term developing world refers to a group of countries that are characterized by lower levels of industrialization, lower human development index, and the lower income levels compared to more economically developed countries. The term is often used to describe countries facing various challenges in terms of economic development, infrastructure, education, health, and the general living standards. It is important to note that the term itself has evolved and alternatives such as global south, less developed countries, low and middle income countries are also used. The International Monetary Fund classifies 152 countries as developing countries, making it clear that the most regions of the world are developing rather than developed. These countries have a combined population of 6.74 billion, meaning they are home to more than two-thirds of the world population. Politics of developing countries in a global perspective. As trade between developing and industrialized countries increases and the capital mobility increases across borders, developing countries will have a greater impact on the global economy. This is evidenced by the shift of the center to the east, the development of which is proceeding at a rapid pace. So let's delve deeper into these concepts. How we can see in these charts, developing countries have overtaken developed countries in few years ago. So there is the reasons. There's first of all this rapid growth. The rise of China and India largely explains this trend. China is now the largest economy by PPP than the United States himself, accounting for 28 and 4% of global output, compared to 6% recorded in 2000's year. India is now the third largest economy with GDP PPP roughly 13 trillion US dollars. So there is more than Japan and Germany combined. The world's inevitable entry into the Asian era is driven by not only its two economies and also by economic growth in mid-sized countries. Developing countries also play a critical role in international relations, like organizations, forums such as United Nations, tactical coordination between China and Russia at the United Nations Security Council. This is play a pivotal role in shaping world's policy. How we can see in July 2020, when China and Russia vetoed two resolutions on Syria and blocked the appointment of French citizens as a special envoy to Sudan, and also according to the military power ranking, how we can see the top five included Russia, China, and India. Representation of developing countries in global governance structures is essential to ensure a more inclusive and equitable international system. How we can see in these graphics, the role of developing countries nowadays is crucial. Leaders in the region are beginning to talk more openly about the shift. The continent is now at the center of the global economic activity. It has become the main engine of global growth, in fact. We are now living through what many call the Asian century, said Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the latest annual meeting of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Also, we need to touch about the political differences in these countries between developing and the developed. So in the developing countries, the foundation of the prosperous state is its institution, but how we can see on the map, in the most cases authoritarian rule has become firmly established in the developing world. So the problem is that the redistribution of wealth resources occurs among a narrow circle of society. But what is the biggest obstacle? So all entrepreneurs and the free-thinking people are a threat to the ruler. So ongoing narrow circle does not allow the development of the state. Instead, in developed countries, they are democratic. So where a wide number of citizens are included in the governance process, such as elected parliament creates an environment for the development of the creative potential of all citizens. In democracies, the possibility of redistributing resources is limited, since at the next election another party will come and repeal these laws, and that the previous party risks losing public support. For example, in Britain, under Margaret Thatcher, active privatization took place, which included the national oil production company British Petroleum, which became completely private and became much more efficient since it was managed on behalf of interest businessmen and not from the state. Differences in political culture, historical tracks, and socio-economic backgrounds. Yeah, of course, some of the problems of developing countries nowadays have historical roots. For example, in Latin America, since the days of the Spanish conquistadors, when in the order to enrich themselves, they set Latin American countries on the path of ineffective institutions governed by the principle of the crown. Latin American countries got rid of their metropolis about 150 and 200 years ago. This happened during the period of the Industrial Revolution. The spontaneous formation of capital and the rapid strengthening of the bourgeoisie. Thus, in Latin America, people in the large capital were left to their own devices. Sectors of the economy, such as agriculture, people did not need to create good institutions since everything was satisfactory. The same did not take root in the North America, since unlike the Spain, the British were not stuck in development and at one time were the first to start the Industrial Revolution, and that the colonies of these countries adopted these ways. The British also tried to create stable and understandable local government, also with religion, where Protestantism spoke of the faith and the work, as the opposite of the Catholicism. Here is influencing factors. In our time, there is also a problem in the form of colonialism, but having moved to the stage of neocolonialism, European countries still benefit from the exploitation of colonies. For example, 14 countries in Africa, with a total population of about 200 million, are subject to a system of monetary sovereignty controlled by the French Ministry of Finance due to neocolonialism. The CFA franc currency, introduced in the past by France, today links these countries economically. Moreover, the CFA franc system makes it easy to return revenue and the capital. Paris gained access to African labor and the raw materials at below market prices, and the final products were sent back to Africa. From 1970 to 2010, Cote d'Ivoire lost 40 billion due to capital flight. If it were reinvested domestically, it would reduce poverty by 10% annually. There are many French international companies present in Africa, including the Total Energies of RF and the Vinci. But the most surprising thing is the Vincent Bollore's ownership of the major ports of West Africa. Of course, the loyal corrupt government of these countries are also involved in everything.
Okay, so now turn to the topic 2, the challenges and unique aspects of politics in the developing countries. The first part of this topic is the challenges in developing country politics. The second one is the impact on governments and development. The third one is the influence of the globalization. And the last one is the case study of China. I choose China as the example of the developing countries. There are also some challenges in developing country politics. It contains 6 parts. The first one is political instability. The second is corruption and lack of transparency. The second one is the concentration of political power and abuse of power. The fourth one is the difficulties in democratic transition. The fifth is the ethnic, religious, and regional divisions. The last one is the social equality. I will give examples from the first three parts. The first one, political instabilities. This is because there are always regime changes. Some of the policy of developing countries are not well sustained. The second one, the corruption is also a major destabilizing factor in politics of developing countries. China has been rigorous fighting corruption since 2022, and hundreds of millions of dollars in cash have even been seized from the homes of some corrupt officials. Such behaviors not only affects politics, but also brings some backdoor behavior leading to unfair competition in the market economy. And in some high underdeveloped cities, such as Manor, where the military is in control of politics, the leaders' ideas are sacred laws that no one may disobey, which can lead to abuse of power. Poverty, corruption, social inequality. This thing may lead to political unrest and social instability. Governments may face protests, demonstrations, nationalisms, or political conflicts that affect governments and regime stabilities. Corruption, lack of effective rules of laws, and inefficiency of government institutions make political systems fragile and may lead to reduced government's capacity, police instability, and lack of public service. The policy making has become complex in the face of the challenges. Governments need to address a wide range of pressing social, economic, and environmental issues, but face limited resources and system problems. Challenges such as economic inequality and social injustice can lead to discontent and social unrest. Governments need to respond to public opinion and social pressures to ensure political stability. Challenges may affect the international status and influence of developing countries. Political instability, economic problems, and something else may weaken the country's reputation and agenda-setting capacity in international affairs. The globalization is a process of global economy, political, and cultural integration. It has made the world become a small village. The borders have been broken down between countries. The history of globalization goes back to the second half of the 20th century. The development of transport and communication technology led to a situation where national borders appeared to be too limiting for economic activity. Globalization is playing an increasingly important role in the developing countries. It can be seen that globalization has certain advantages such as economic progress, technological development, political influence, healthy system, social and natural environment factors. It has a lot of benefits on our daily life. Globalization has created new opportunities for developing countries, such as technology transfer hold out promise, greater opportunities to assist developed countries' market, growth and improve productivity and living standard. However, it is not true that all effects of this phenomenon are positive, because globalization has also brought up new challenges such as environmental deteriorations, instability in commercial and financial markets, increased inequality across and within nations, with impolitic for political stability, institution development, and the formulae of nation-developed strategies. Here is a case study of China. In ancient China, there is an old saying called the method of herding the people, which translates as treating the people as cattle and horses. And the rules of the king is like a shepherd herding the cattle. This is in turn leads to another theory of rule put forward by Mencius, a famous thinker in ancient China, which is the policy of fooling the people, meaning the policy of making the people ignorant, making closed knowledge available only to a certain elite of the ruling class. The policy of Zhang Bingjiang is fundamentally anti-democratic, and its anti-intelligent and elitist ideological makeup excludes the public, which are considered to be intellectual unworthy of being informed of the truth and of the government's administration. These two policies, which are thousands of years old, are still used today as the basic governing programs of Chinese leaders. Developing countries, which are economically and politically backwards as well as educationally disadvantaged, naturally adopt a complete new system of governments. Can such a political approach be transferred to the West and still be effective? China has a large population base and has been founded as the People's Republic of China for only 70 years. The best way to bring such a large country to a rapid rise is to get the people to listen to the government and work together toward a goal. This is also the reason why the socialist market economy with Chinese characteristics was created, where the government and the market work together to do a good job.
The second example is India. India has a multitude of languages, religions, and cultures, and this diversity has profoundly shaped its political landscape. The caste system, regional differences, and religious factors complicate Indian politics. There are significant differences in economic and social development between Indian states, and regional imbalances create dilemma for governments. The caste system and social stratification continue to dominate Indian society, leading to inequality and social fragmentation. India is home to a large number of religious and ethnic groups, and this diversity has often been the focus of political controversy, sometimes leading to tensions and conflict. British colonial rule had a profound impact on Indian politics, society, and culture, leaving behind historical legacies such as border demarcation and the caste system. After independence, India sought its place in the global political arena and played an important role in international affairs. India's political system differs from that of developed countries in a number of ways, and these differences include the political system, social culture, and economic development. These differences are not only reflected in the political structure but also involve deep-rooted social and cultural contexts, which give Indian politics uniqueness and complexity. Theoretical frameworks and approaches. I will explain whether a new theoretical framework is needed to understanding politics in developing countries from these three perspectives. The following are theoretical frameworks in political science and their limitations. Modernization theory. Transition of society through stages of development, but oversimplified, and its universality to developing countries is questioned. Dependency theory emphasizes the economic relationship between developed and developing countries, viewing the underdevelopment of the latter as a result of economic dependence on the former. Institutionalism highlights the importance of political system in shaping political behavior and outcomes, but has limitations when developing countries face corruption and institutional fragility. Realism focuses on interstate power dynamics and geopolitics, but may not fully explain the internal complexities of politics in developing countries. Culturalism emphasizes the impact of cultural values on politics and highlights the importance of cultural differences in understanding political behavior in different societies. The applicability of traditional theoretical framework in developing world. Liberal democracy. Implementing Western-style liberal democracy in countries such as Afghanistan or Iraq has proven difficult due to cultural differences, historical contexts, and post-conflict situations. Despite their emphasis on individual rights, free elections, and the rule of law. Institutionalism. Institutional theories highlight the role of political institutions in governments. However, in many African countries, weak institutions and government structures have hindered effective policy implementation and governance. For example, in countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, weak institutions have led to issues like corruption, lack of service delivery, and political instability. Realist theories in international relations focus on power dynamics between states. However, in the developing world, conflicts and geopolitical interests often stem from internal socio-political issues rather than solely external factors. For example, the conflict in South Sudan is primarily driven by internal power struggles and ethnic divisions rather than purely geopolitical interests. Dependency theory. This theory emphasizes the exploitation in economic relations between developed and developing countries. It finds relevance in understanding the economic challenges faced by countries like Haiti, which has historically experienced economic dependency and exploitation by more developed nations, impacting its development trajectory. Overall, while traditional political theories provide insights into political dynamics, their direct application in developing countries is often limited by the intricacies and unique challenges they face. These challenges include weak governance structures, cultural diversity, and historical legacy of colonialism and economic disparities, which necessitate context-specific analyses that go beyond the traditional frameworks. So, do we need new theoretical frameworks? The answer is definitely yes. Traditional political theories offer valuable insights and principles applicable to various contexts. They provide a fundamental understanding of political phenomenon, so we first need to adapt to the existing theories. Adapting existing theories by incorporating context-specific elements might enhance their applicability. For instance, modifying liberal democracy to accommodate cultural variation or adapting institutionalism to address institutional fragility in developing countries. However, the one-size-fits-all approach of this series often falls short in capturing the complexities of developing countries. Factors like historical legacies, cultural diversity, weak institutions, and economic disparities are often overlooked. The distinctive challenges faced by developing countries, such as post-colonial legacies, weak institutions, and socioeconomic disparities, may necessitate entirely new frameworks. Traditional theories often oversimplify or neglect internal complexities unique to developing countries. Need for context-specific frameworks. Developing a theoretical framework tailored to the specific needs of developing countries could provide a more comprehensive understanding of their political realities. Modification and new frameworks for mixed methods. Combining current theory with context-specific adaptations may create a balanced approach. Such hybrid models may retain the strengths of old theories while overcoming deficiencies in emerging countries' knowledge of complexity. At the same time, encouragement of further study and innovation in political science may result in the development of new theories or frameworks geared specifically to explain the political environment of developing countries. In conclusion, the study of politics in developing countries requires an adaptable theoretical framework due to different contextual factors. Developing countries often face unique historical legacies, socioeconomic disparities, institutional weakness, and diverse cultural dynamics that differ significantly from those in more developed countries. These differences require specialized perspectives to consider local nuance, power structures, governance challenges, and the impact of global influence. While traditional political theory provides valuable insights, tailored theoretical frameworks that combine global perspective with local intricacies are essential to fully understand and address the complexities inherent in politics of developing countries. These are our reference. And that's all from us. Hope that everyone will understand the purpose of our study. Thank you.